Hey, and welcome to my channel about living in and moving to Denver, Colorado. We are going to be covering tips and tricks of things to avoid when submitting an offer on a home in the state of Colorado. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Katie Martineau, also known as the Real Estate Gal, and if this is your first time watching this channel, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you get notified every time I release a video, which is twice a week. And as mentioned, my nickname is Katie the Real Estate Gal. I am a licensed real estate agent in this state, so if you need help with buying, selling, or anything in between, I'm your gal. My contact information is below, so please reach out via call, text, or email, whatever you prefer. And in the meantime, let's get started on those 5 things to avoid so that you can get a house that best fits your needs. So the first one is, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and talk about it, is higher interest rates. They are higher than what they were a couple years ago. During 2020 and 2021, the government was lowering interest rates so much that it made money practically free. Well, free money does not do a lot of good things for the economy. And right now, in the first quarter of 2023, we are seeing the correction in the market. And interest rates are hovering about 6%, 6.5%. It depends on your loan program. So many people are so hyper-focused on that 6%, and they're just like, that's triple of what it was a couple years ago, which totally makes sense. But in the grand scheme of things, if you look back to 1970, 6% and 6.5% are actually pretty good interest rates. And then there's a lot of loan programs that are coming out that can help you get into the home in a responsible way, such as buying down the interest rate. Sellers are open to negotiations into giving the buyers credit at closing in order to pay down that either temporary buy down or permanent buy down. A really great option is to chat with the lender so they can actually look at your finances, your debt to income ratio, in your situation to make sure that the monthly payments make sense. So that's really what you should be focusing on, is the monthly payments. Unfortunately, it's not a one size fits all. So the lender is going to be hyper focused into all of your finances, what your debts are, what you owe, the income that you have coming in. And so to say that 6.5% interest rate is a common or average interest rate makes sense, but you might qualify for a little bit lower or a little bit higher based off of your credit score. When it all boils down, you really need to be comfortable with the monthly payment. There's a saying of date the rate, marry the home, which rubs a lot of real estate agents the wrong way because you're focusing on the wrong thing. Saying that, you're essentially hoping for interest rates to drop. We all want interest rates to drop if you own a home, because then you can refinance and get that lower payment. But don't bank on that, because nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know if interest rates are going to be going back down, but there are a lot of projections that they might in the middle of 2024. Now know that when interest rates go down, demand goes up. People are like, I don't have to pay as much for the same exact product, so now I'm going to be looking. But that's going to be putting us into a similar situation of what we were a couple of years ago, where homes are going to go for over ask because people just want to get into the market and get into those lower interest rates and lower monthly payments. So if you're looking to buy now or in the next year or in the next couple of years, try to focus on the monthly mortgage payment and be comfortable with that first, because that number will not decrease or increase unless you do something such as a refinance. And if you are on the fence of buying and can afford that mortgage payment, also keep in mind the equity that you're going to be building. Colorado is still an appreciating state in most places. So if you own that home for 3 years, you're already buying down the principal, and then you can use that equity later on and make a profit on your home versus renting for the next, let's just say 3 years, because you're paying someone else's mortgage. But we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. The second mistake not to make is to focus on the wrong things. Sometimes people will walk into a home and the carpet is a green shag carpet, or the home is in dire need of a paint job. And some people are so hyper focused on those tiny little details, they're not looking at the bigger picture. And don't get me wrong, it does take a couple times to realize that you want to look at the bones of the house, but it all goes back to your goals. Are you willing to make updates or renovations to actually have the home of your dreams, or for the home that fits your needs for right now? Maybe it's not your dream home, but you can eventually get there, or at least build equity in that home, sell it in a couple years, and then focus on your dream home. I have experience with this with my first house. I walked in and there was 2 separate rooms and they were separated by a wall, and I was like, nope, this isn't the house for me, and I left. I was talking to my roommate at the time and she asked, why didn't you like that house? I actually drew the floor plan on a piece of cardboard and realized after looking at a bird's eye view of it, if I removed this wall and built a wall here, I have exactly what I want, which was an open kitchen. It wasn't very costly to make that adjustment, but just know there is no house that will fit every single checkbox. And if there is, I want to know about it. But there's always going to be something that you can change with the house. So focus on the things that you cannot change or that would be super costly, such as going from a 2-car garage to a 3-car garage. That's going to be a hefty expense. But if it's something like changing the handrails of the house so you don't have that older vibe that you just despise, or maybe new cabinets or hardware, those things are pretty affordable in the grand scheme of things. So focus on the bigger picture of things that you cannot change. All right, number 2 and number 3 are pretty similar, but location is super important. Or maybe it's not important, but it's really great to know. Location is something that you cannot change, and we want to avoid buyer's remorse. So you may have found the absolute perfect house. You don't have to make any adjustments, including paint or cabinets or the number of bedrooms or the fact that there's a garage. Everything is great. Maybe even it has a giant yard, and that's really the reason why you bought the house, because you have a couple dogs and maybe some kids and they can play and run around and you can entertain in the backyard. But if the location is off, if it's gonna add a 20-minute commute time, and that's something that you have to encounter every single day, you just can't change location. So finding those top areas that you wanna be in and finding those homes that you can make those adjustments to is super important, because you're probably going to be in the home for at least a year or 2. I would hate for you to just get a home just to get a home because the price may have been right or the aesthetics of the home were completely on point. So just make sure you talk about your non-negotiables with your agent and they can help guide you in the right direction. All right, the 4th thing to avoid is choosing the wrong buyer's agent. Luckily, in the state of Colorado, buyers don't have to pay an agent's commission, which is really great. The sellers actually pay for both sides, the selling agent's commission as well as the buyer's agent's commission. So really, it's free for anybody to use a buyer's agent in the state of Colorado for new builds and for resale. You really need to choose an agent that's gonna have your best interest at heart and is gonna know what they're doing and be an advocate for you. Deals have fallen through because agents just kind of willy-nilly submit an offer. So if your brother, sister's cousin is an agent, just because they're kind of family doesn't mean that they're the best fit for the job. Don't get me wrong, they might be the best fit for the job, but you gotta ask some questions in what they're doing in order to promote you as a buyer and making you look attractive when you submit a contract. It's not terribly hard to pass the real estate agent's exam, but you wanna make sure that somebody is fighting for you as well as writing a clean offer or contract. If there are multiple offers on a home and there are errors in your contract, you may have just been bumped down to the bottom of the list, which is going to cause you to miss out on an opportunity on the home that you may absolutely love. Your agent is going to need to build rapport with the listing agent, make you look so attractive and showcase that you're easy to work with. That's going to be really important because the next 30 days is a standard under contract period, can be absolute hell if the communication is poor, if there's errors in contract, contracts. If you just can't get a hold of your agent, that's another thing. With the iBuyers, some of them only work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, not nights and weekends. If something doesn't get completed or finished in a workday and the offer or contract is due that night, a deal can fall through. There are horror stories about that I'm not going to talk about, but just know there's a lot more that goes into submitting an attractive offer and being an agent than just opening doors and writing contracts. You gotta use the correct verbiage in contracts, and you have to have amazing communication and people skills to know how to work with the various people in making this experience successful. And the fifth thing to avoid is to make sure that you know the process going through buying a house. And you don't necessarily have to know every single little thing, but your agent should be knowing these things and educating you on what to expect and the next steps. This is one of the largest purchases that people make in their lifetime, is purchasing a home. And so knowing and understanding what is happening, what's going on, why these contracts are important is really key, so that there are no surprises later on and that could put you in a bad situation financially or emotionally. So knowing the steps, such as you submit a contract, you find that home first, you submit a contract, getting under contract is really important, and then come the due diligence documents, the seller's property disclosure, you'll set up the inspection, the appraisal if you're getting a loan. And before all of that is building rapport with the listing agent to showcase that you are a great buyer, you're going to be easy to work with, and you have the seller's interests at heart as well. Or as I like to say, play nice in the sandbox. They have something you want, you're going to want to have a smooth transaction to make both sides happy. Speed in getting things done is really important, and just know Colorado is a buyer-friendly state. So once you're under contract, once you've fallen in love with the home, if you start to uncover things that make you feel uncomfortable with the home, or maybe it isn't a great fit, maybe something drastic came back on inspection, or you don't like how the HOA documents were written, that's okay. You're not married to the home until you signed the contract at closing. That literally says that the home is yours. So take one step at a time. There is a process. Organization is really important, and do your due diligence on the home so that you make sure it's a great fit for you. Little plug for myself. I'm very organized. I'm type A. I would love to help you with your real estate needs or elaborate on any of the bullet points that I talked about today. I've included my information below. If you have any questions or comments, call, text, email, comment on this video. I'll get back to you. And if you want to get notified every time I release a video, which is twice a week, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next video.